All right, everyone, we start off today with sad news. That is that Nikkihaley, indeed, she actually is that crazy, confirming the other day during her State of the Presidential Race, which, I mean, there's no race anymore, we'll get into that she's not dropping out. She has no issue with continuing after South Carolina, no matter what happens, she's staying in, reconfirming what she had said earlier. But there was some reason to believe, though, that she was at least considering the possibility of standing down, which would make everything a lot easier because Trump has already won. She has no chance in South Carolina. She has no chance going forward in any state. The odds, it's zero, basically. She's already lost. She's running a zombie campaign and doesn't realize that it's dead yet. So it's a little bit like Wasted Bonehead, I suppose. You know, he refuses to stay in his grave. You know, he's getting his, I welcome him when he comes over, you know, I just shave a little bit off his rib, make some bone meal. Anyway, more seriously though, Nikkihaley is one of two things here. She's either completely corrupt, which I can believe, or utterly batshit delusional. I think it might be a combination of the two. She's hoping that by staying in, she can get more of that money, roll it over into a war chest for maybe a future campaign or something like that. What she doesn't seem to understand is that it's not going to work well. If Trump goes into the general and Nikkihaley has caused a mess and Trump loses, the Republicans will punish her. They're not going to uplift her and say, well, Nikkihaley should have been the candidate and she did stay in till the end and we should have taken her seriously. No. I don't think I think that might be her plan, but I don't think that that's actually what would happen. I think a significant proportion of the Republican electorate would then blame her for Biden being reelected. Although I do believe that Trump wins regardless of what happens with the primaries. I'm pretty confident in Trump right now. Looking at the polling in numerous states, not just general polling, you know, polling ahead of your 2020 results by 12 points is probably a sweet spot to be in. Just look at the Michigan polls if you don't believe me. But I think she'd be punished for that. That's number one. Maybe she's doing it just because she enjoys the attention. She wants to be the TDS candidate and gobble up a handful of delegates here and there and wait for a brokered convention. Again, that's not actually a good position to be in because, number one, you've alienated about a third of the party, which is core MAGA. They will not vote for Nikkihaley, and I'm counted among them. I'm an independent voter, but I'm also MAGA. But I'm not a MAGA Republican. I've never been a Republican. I don't like most of the Republican politicians that are there because most of them fucking suck ass, including Nikkihaley. Well, we'll punish her. She wouldn't be elected. Brokered convention goes through, it's effectively the Republican Party committing suicide. They'll lose by a catastrophic margin. Did you see the Texas matchup poll from I think it was the Texas Tribune, or University of Texas rather, just the other day? Nikkihaley is down 9 points against Biden in Texas. If you can't win there, you can't win anywhere. She'd lose pretty much every state. Only the most die-hard, solid red, like maybe a Wyoming or South Dakota, those are the only states that she would get. She'd get crushed. Trump, like it or not, is effectively the only hope of beating Joe Biden. Because there's only two people in the race at the moment, Donald Trump and Nikkihaley. Nikkihaley cannot pass muster. And that state polling, more accurate than the national matchup polling, by the way, when you're looking at a red state, Nikkihaley having been to red states more, because she's campaigning there, you're going to have higher name recognition. That's the actual matchup. When you see Nikkihaley is +7 in the general election, bullshit. No, that's the Kasich effect. It's because a lot of people that are polling are like, who? They don't know anything about it. They're not even polling the right constituency. You need to know what Republicans especially would think for primary polling. And some of them are open primaries. So, you know, the numbers get a little bit fudgy now and then. They get a little bit fuzzy. Nikkihaley is really crazy. I hate to report this. I'm sad to report that Nikkihaley may actually be daft. She may actually be literally batshit. Not figuratively batshit, like you're making a stupid decision, but she's like so persistent in making that same stupid decision and stubbornly refusing to simply stand down and back the nominee, which is Donald Trump. It's like DeSantis. He had no problem with it. He saved face. He drops out. He endorses Trump. He says, look, this is over. I don't have a chance. Donald does. He's the nominee. You fucking get over it. Yeah, we ran a good campaign, and I appreciate all of your support, and I'm glad for that, and et cetera, but we've got to be realistic here. There's no path forward to victory. I came in a distant second in Iowa, by the way, supplanting Nikkihaley. Again, the reason why I'll never insult him again. Other than Max Nordau, I won't even insult Dave Riaboy. I'll even give him a pass. Max Nordau is the only one that's still legitimate because his TDS is so severe. It's like, Jesus fuck, dude. At some point, you gotta calm down. Nikkihaley does not have any path forward. There's no chance whatsoever that she wins. She never did have that chance. The only person, other than Donald Trump, in the race that ever had a period of viability was Ron DeSantis. And he got into the race, and unfortunately for him, he made a series of blunders, and it sunk his campaign. And that's the long and short of it. Once DeSantis fell below 20, the race was fundamentally over. With the Iowa results, it was completely over. There was no longer anybody else in the field that had viability, and all events that could happen to deny Trump the nomination. So he croaks, he's incapacitated, brokered convention. That's basically it. Disqualified by SCOTUS, but that won't happen. We know how that ruling's going to go based on the oral testimony. All of those possibilities lead to Biden being reelected, without any other possibility being actually possible. I suppose the only other thing that could happen is Trump croaks tomorrow and somebody else gets in the race whose name isn't Nikkihaley and campaigns in his name or something like that, manages to scrape together MAGA once again and be the standard bearer of the populist movement. But even then they'd probably lose because they're not Trump. I hate to tell you, but Trump needs his second term, and then other people can step forward and say, okay, I realize these successes, and here's what I do different, et cetera, and then we go forward. Right now, it's still Trump's time, because there's no longer a viable alternative to him. Some people chuff at this. Well, I mean, that's perfectly fine. You can go ahead and stay home and not vote if you don't feel enthused or whatever, but, I hate to use this particular adage because generally I don't believe in dichotomies and football team mentality politics, but it is kind of a vote for Joe Biden at this point. It really is. Joe Biden is hemorrhaging support. We can knock him out, get Trump in there. At the very least, we have an acceptable president by reasonable standards. I put him above acceptable, but you may disagree with him on one or two issues. I know that I certainly have. But at the very least, he's sane. He's probably not going to haul off and start World War III if his first term is any indicator, so diplomacy will be better. We know he's serious about the border. What the fuck more do people want? You're not getting any of that with Nikkihaley. With Nikkihaley, you're going to get more attempts at an assault weapons ban. It won't go through, but it'll be attempted. You'll get more taxes. She's a neocon. She's a Bushite neocon with a zombie campaign. She's probably literally delusional. I mean, like actually a lunatic. She seems crazy anyway when she speaks. I'm not exactly surprised that she decided to stay in. The wise thing to do would be saying, okay, I'm 25 points behind in my own home state. Quite clearly people are not ready for me. And if she wanted to, she could still do the pity me thing and say, well, people just weren't ready for a female candidate in the GOP because of all the misogynists. She could do that if she wanted to. There'd be some people amenable to that message, and then you could switch your party alliance to the party you should be in to begin with, and run next time as a Democrat or something like that. Run as a so-called like a mansion moderate or something like that, like the next Kirsten Sinema. She could do that, but she's going to go and get humiliated in a couple days in her own home state, so it's done. That's about all. Peace out.